Hey guys, today I'm going to give you a step-by-step tutorial to show you everything you need to know to make those circle photo weird landscapey panorama-y things. You know what I mean, right? Like this. Okay, so first step is basically you need to start out with the panorama to make that shot. So to take a panorama, you want to find a good location that's got, you know, a couple of bands of in the scene, like a foreground, middle ground, and sky. And then most importantly, make sure you take a lot of photos to give yourself a lot of overlap on each one. You don't want them matching on the sides. You want to give like 30 to 50% of overlap so that Photoshop can stitch them together. Then you want to make sure that you lock down your exposure perfectly. So either lock the exposure or put it into manual mode and keep it all the same, because if there's more, say, shadows in one part of the scene, you don't want it boosting it and then throwing the sky out so that they don't match up anymore. And as I said, you want to make sure it's a beautiful scene. This isn't it, so like any good cooking show, let's throw to one that we prepared earlier.
Okay, so we're going to do this nice and quick. I'm going to try and do it in 5 to 6 minutes when really you should be spending an hour if you want it to look really, really great. But let's just jump straight in. My buddy Eric was in the city today taking some shots for a panorama, so we're going to use those. So first of all, as I said, get constant exposure, put them all in a folder, then open Photoshop, File, Automate, Photo Merge. This is how we do our panorama. Click Auto, choose the photos that you want to use. In this case, we're using 7 shots, and then just let Photoshop do its magic. It's going to put them all together. Now, in this case, to do the circle, you really want to have a full band of water or grass or something constant in the bottom of the shot. You can see here, left and right, he's actually got a lot of footpath. That's not ideal for our situation, but we're going to work with it anyway. So, first step, actually let's straight off the bat flatten the image and unlock the layer by double clicking the lock. Okay, then grab our circle tool, our rectangle tool, and then we want to get a good amount of sky. You'll notice that over there on the right, that means we're going into an area that has no sky. We're going to just fill that in. Ideally, the pano would have been taken specifically for this purpose and it would work a little bit better. It hasn't, but this will still work out. Now, before people start ranting and raving, as I said, this is a really quick 5-minute video, not, you know, a detailed full hour one to show you exactly how to do it. But I am showing you all the steps. So what I'm doing here is I'm going through with the clone tool, and the clone stamp tool. And I'm going to go through and just fill in the sky roughly. Okay. Now, we know that it's been bodged and that looks a little bit strange, but it will work. Let's just fix up a little bit. There we go. Look, it does look a little bit strange as it is, but it's really going to work. Now, to make things even stranger, we're going to do the same, because as I said, we need the water to fill, so we need to fill that in. So I'm going to take a few little quick readings for clone stamp and just fill that in. This is definitely going to need, you know, touching up at the last step, but that's just fine. So we're going to go through adding water. Let's grab a reading from right over here. Okay. Now, yes, this is going to need some more detailed work, but I'm just doing this quick and nasty. And I really suggest look at using grass in the foreground rather than water. It can work really, really well. So there we go, there's our shot. Now we want to flip it. So let's go into Image, Rotation, 180. There we go. Now for it to really work, you want the water to match up on each side. We can go through and use some tools to make that happen, but for now I'm just going to patch it up at the end. So now it's upside down. Now we need to whoop and join the sides together. So for that, go to Filter, Distort, Polar Coordinates, and then you want rectangular to polar, and just hit OK. Okay, so it looks a bit mental, especially the edge of the skies. That's fine. So next up, let's make the canvas a lot bigger so we can play with it. So I want to make my height more than the width. So just so I've got extra room, so I'm going to make it 110 and put all the space at the top. Now let's just shrink it down so that all fits in. Then I'm going to select what we're working on. Go up to Image, Edit, then Transform, Scale, and then just drag it up till we're getting the kind of circular shape that we want. That looks about right. Enter, and then I'm just going to crop it back to that size to work on. Now you can see there's a big old join there which looks rubbish in the water and in the sky. So the best way to go about fixing that up is, well, actually to have started off with them really level to begin with. But as it is, we can just go in and again grab our clone stamp, this time drop the opacity down to maybe 60%, take a reading and then just wash over the border. You want to blend water from different places to make it work, and you can see, you know, the water just hasn't matched up on this one. You really would want to go through and get that matched up really nice and neatly, which I haven't. This is a 5-minute version. And if you can, shoot a subject that really works for what you're trying to do. So next, let's grab the circle tool, the circle selection, and hold down Shift, make a perfect circle, and then drag it into place to about where we want it. That works. Then we'll crop that. And if you inverse it and then delete that, you'll be left with just a circle. So again, you know, the sky looks ridiculous, so you'd want to go through and fix that up and give it a nice join. We could just make that cloud kind of extend over. Obviously, it takes a bit of finessing, which is not something I'm going to spend an hour to do now. That actually, I think, looks worse than it did to begin with. But you can see how you quickly pull that across. And again, to double down on the cooking theme, let me show you one that we prepared earlier. Okay, so there's one that's working quite well. The buildings are just popping and going a bit crazy, but you know,
Okay, so that's actually really straightforward, yeah? And you can use parts of that technique for all different things. So I will actually get a shot of this boring wall and then we'll turn that into a circle. Hope that helps, guys. Leave me any questions or comments. Click the subscribe and like, share it around, and I'll see you soon.